A few weeks ago, the Holy Spirit attacked me. She's done this before, mostly because I am stubborn and I am prone to ignoring her. She has to attack me. This time she did it by keeping on putting this action in front of me that was happening out in California. It kept showing up in my Facebook feed and in other places, and it was being organized by this new Latinx group called Mi Gente, and it was on July 2nd. And one of the things that was really Holy Spirit about it was that the tagline for this organization says, imagine a movement that is not just pro-Latinx, but pro-Black, pro-woman, pro-queer, pro-poor, because our community is all that and more. And I thought, well, I could get behind that. So this action was going to be held in San Diego near the border to protest the zero tolerance policy and the beginning of Operation Streamline, which was about to start in San Diego, which is a fast-track prosecution program that moves migrants through the criminal justice system in group hearings to ensure that their individual cases don't get the attention that they deserve. I've been part of quite a few protests, marches, and actions in the last few years. I've gotten arrested for civil disobedience. But to be honest, it's always been fairly convenient and easy for me. All the times that I've been in Washington, D.C., speaking on the steps of the Supreme Court or participating in the Poor People's Campaign have been as part of my work with the Religious Institute. And my activism in Hartford, which is the capital of Connecticut, is led by Moral Mondays Connecticut, founded by Bishop John and Lady Pamela Selders, who are friends of mine. I know them, and so when I participate in a protest or an action in Hartford, I know the people who are leading. Even when I get arrested, Hartford, Washington, whatever, those things are done with deliberation. It's civil disobedience. I know that I have tons of privilege and organized support from the movements that I'm a part of. But I haven't just gone to an action on my own, and certainly not across the country, with no connection to the leadership or to a group. And so I told the Holy Spirit all the reasons why this was a really bad idea. I had a staff meeting scheduled. April, my wife, and I had a friend coming to stay with us. Getting to San Diego would be super expensive and surely not good stewardship of my resources. And then I would need a place to stay, right? Honestly, what was really going on was that I was having a hard time justifying why I should go if it wasn't likely to get some media coverage for the organization or to be part of something that I was doing. And then out of the blue, oh, hi, Holy Spirit. I remembered that my friend Corey had moved to San Diego. So I texted them and asked if I could crash at their place for a protest. And they were thrilled to offer me space and wanted to come to the action as well. But I still thought that maybe I wouldn't go because I still had to talk it over with April. And I thought, I'll present it to her. I'll tell her it's just a silly idea and we'll both agree that it's too expensive and move on with my life. So I talked with April. I told her it was a silly idea and she said, you can't let this go. You've been talking about this for weeks. That means something. Get the ticket. So I did. Here's what I didn't realize though. God didn't send me to that protest to help other people. There were plenty of people for that action. There were 800 of them. I was just another person in a small group of clergy. I had no role to play, no special status, no speeches to give. I wasn't even part of any civil disobedience. God sent me to San Diego because I needed it. I needed to be with hundreds and hundreds of people, most of them young, most of them Latinx. I needed to hear rousing speeches in Spanish and English. I needed to be outside my comfort zone and chant things like chinga la migra. Do you know what that means? Fuck ICE. Yeah. I don't generally chant those sorts of things when I'm wearing a collar. I needed the joy of chanting, ain't no power like the power of the people, because the power of the people don't stop, over and over again. And claiming that power with Corey and with hundreds of other people who I didn't know at all. I needed to see the streets full of people claiming their power. I needed to see the group of people in front of me break out in a dance. And I needed to see the activists who went to the top of a tall hotel and unfurled a banner that said, "Free our families now." Those are the people who got arrested. And I needed to be there as we sat in front of the federal building where ICE was located. And turns out I needed the extra couple of days I had added to my stay, in case I did get arrested, to hang out with Corey and see some of San Diego and be in their gorgeous apartment in that perfect weather with all the windows open and feel that cool breeze wash some healing right through me. I had no idea that I needed that. None. I tend to stay glued to the news and the work that we do at the Religious Institute. Our new vision statement says that we honor the dignity and worth of every human being by embracing our sacred obligation to liberate bodies and spirits from oppression. So, easy work. Done in a minute, I'm sure. But what this means in action is that we're part of an intersectional justice movement fighting for sexual, gender, and reproductive justice in faith communities and in society. We bring a religious voice to public policy debates, like Jim said, that often seem to be religion versus justice. We bring a religious voice to abortion rights and so-called religious freedom, to transgender rights, to coverage of birth control by insurance, and on and on. And we recognize that immigrant families being separated at the border and black men being killed by police are reproductive justice issues. It's constant. So right now the news is pretty damn grim, day after day. Recent Supreme Court decisions upheld the Muslim ban, allowed so-called crisis pregnancy centers to continue to deceive people seeking abortions, and declined to rule broadly to prevent discrimination against LGBTQ people. The current administration has proposed a gag rule that would make it illegal for doctors, nurses, hospitals, community health centers, or any other provider in the low-income birth control program that the government runs to tell patients how they can safely and legally access abortion. Gagging their doctors, literally. The administration has rolled back protections for transgender students. It has put anti-queer extremists in cabinet positions, and it has expanded and encouraged so-called religious exemptions for healthcare providers, allowing them to cite religious or moral beliefs in order to refuse care for transgender people, people seeking abortions or contraception, or pretty much anything else that the provider disagrees with. And if that sounds like the CNN of bad news, that's because it is. And that's pretty much my world, day in and day out. And then I go home and I watch the news and I rant about it with April and I listen to NPR and political podcasts while I'm getting ready in the morning and anytime I'm in the car. And I was doing okay until they started locking kids in cages. And then suddenly I wasn't okay anymore. I couldn't take it anymore. I could hear the cries of those kids, their tiny voices asking for mama and papa. And I couldn't deal, and I felt powerless and guilty and impotent and angry. And so the Holy Spirit showed up and sent my butt to San Diego. Because sometimes I need to be with people who are kicking in the doors to justice, blocking business as usual, and declaring no further. Sometimes I need to hear the mic-dropping words of Jesus for what they are. They are a call to action that will heal my soul while it heals the world. Sometimes I need to feel in my bones that my liberation really is bound up with everyone else's, and to know in my soul that none of us is free until we are all free. The good news is as real as the bad news in these difficult days. 800 people from around the country showed up to that protest. Every Monday for 6 weeks, people took nonviolent direct actions in states across the country as part of the Poor People's Campaign. Right here, well, a little ways away, in Needham, Jim has catalyzed justice work, protests, and rallies in a privileged white suburb. The old saw is true. We really are the ones we have been waiting for, and our power together is a force for liberation and good. So as you wrap up this month of freedom, I implore you, if the Holy Spirit comes knocking, listen to her. Let her beat you over the head with whatever she needs to get you to go wherever you need to go. Find out how she's leading you to bring good news and proclaim liberty, recovery, and release. It will restore your soul. Amen.